It's that time of the year. It's come a little earlier than other years, but the IPL is in town and everyone's put on their best colours. So have we on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday T20. Hello and welcome. I am Ronak Kapoor. Delighted to be in the company of Brad Hodge, who we've flown all the way from Australia out of his Kings 11, well, role, but certainly in his Kings 11 colours. Hodge, good to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Ronak. Yeah, I still support Kings. I mean, I've had a good relationship. Yeah, I mean, I want them to do well. Look, we love this time of year. I mean, every cricketer around the world loves IPL, and everyone wants to be here. So here we are.
Yeah, I know. If outside of the Indians, I know the Aussies love the IPL, current and former, all of them just love the IPL. You don't have any such allegiances to KKR or Delhi like Hodgie claims he does to the Kings.
Well, I mean, if you've played for those two teams, you want them to do well. You know, they've treated, certainly with the time that I played, both the franchises have treated us well. So hopefully they have good seasons.
You've been with us so many years. You like what we've done with the place? Because you just look around.
Very colourful, and they've given you the right colour as well.
Given me the right colour. Yeah, I'm in yellow.
Such a big CSK fan, so.
Yeah, everyone remembers my prediction last season. Before season, I said they're not going to do well, they might end bottom, and they end up winning. So that's MS Dhoni for you, and he is of course in charge. So too is Virat Kohli. That's the match that we're going to build up to at the Chepauk in just under half an hour from now. It is CSK against RCB. The coin has actually gone up for the first time in the IPL. Yes, MS does that to me. Sometimes I get nervous. And CSK are going to have a chase. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. Thoughts just on the result of the toss? We're not quite sure what to expect from Chennai that saw just one game, Ajit, last season in the IPL.
Yeah, but I mean, both captains said there's a bit of dew around, which obviously makes chasing a lot easier. The team batting first doesn't quite know what sort of total you need to set, so could play into the hands of the guys bowling first. So both wanted to bowl first. Yeah. Tells you what they think of the pitch. It's obviously a good one, and also the conditions.
You can expect that they will turn up in big numbers at the Chepauk. They only saw one game in the IPL last year, and they are coming in. The fans that have poured in to the MA Chidambaram Stadium that we hope will see a lot more cricket in this year's IPL. Funny enough, this is the RCB side of fans that have come in decent numbers. So we've started this home and away thing now, Aji. I don't know if your memories of going to Chennai, but these are something else in comparison to the other cities.
Yeah, my greatest memories are actually, Test cricket, watching some fantastic Test cricket between the Australians and the Indians there. But great stadium. I remember watching Mike Hussey smash us around one time or another. But tremendous stadium. I mean, it's jam-packed full of yellow. But whenever you play against the RCB, you seem to be up against it because when you go and have a home ground advantage, it disappears because they're all cheering there for Virat. So it's going to be a tight contest and one that's going to be jam-packed in the stadium.
Might be an exception given that MS and CSK have enjoyed this extraordinary patronage. There was a video recently of MS going to a training session at the Chepauk and 15,000 people had just turned up to watch him.
Yeah, it's
intimidating.
My favorite ground in India.
Yeah,
I
really?
quite enjoyed playing in Chennai in spite of all the heat. Just very knowledgeable crowd and a good crowd. Very appreciative of even the opposition playing well. But clearly two iconic sort of Indian players starting the IPL off, couldn't have asked for anything better.
Okay, now the build-up to this game, other than all the customary build-up that takes place with the IPL, has also been surrounded by some significant criticism of Virat Kohli's captaincy and whether he is perhaps a bit lucky to be in this role, as his former Delhi teammate Gautam Gambhir certainly believes so. Let's hear what Kohli had to say when this was obviously going to be asked in the pre-match presser.
You want to win when you play the IPL, but look, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I don't care about whether I'm going to be judged on this or not, or there's no real sort of parameters that you set. Okay, you tick all the boxes. I try to perform wherever I can. You try to win all the titles possible, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And I've mentioned as well, we have to be practical about why we haven't won, and that's boiled down to bad decision making in pressure situations. And that's pretty much it. If I think like people on the outside, I can't sustain even 5 games, I'd be sitting at home. So, yeah, look, I know people talk about this a lot and they like to, just grab opportunities of talking about this thing. But I'm doing a responsibility here, and if given a chance, like any other captain, I would love to win the IPL as well for my team. And we all are motivated to do so. It's not happened. That's the reality. And there are no excuses for that. There's only acceptance of the faults that we made in the past. But the fact that we played 6 semi-finals and ahead, means that we have been a side that's always in the contention. So if these 3 finals, 3 semi-finals, and if we make better decisions, maybe we can go further than that, and that's how I see things.
I love it. Hip hop Virat Kohli kept turned around and turning around those comments from Gautam Gambhir saying, yeah, people like these opportunities to talk, but he has absolutely no pressure of being judged according to how he's been in the IPL. He also reminds everyone, rightly so, of the amount of finals that RCB made, or at least the times they made the playoffs. They were in the final just, 3 years back. Is the criticism warranted of Kohli, the captain at RCB?
No, everyone's got an opinion. They're entitled to give their opinion, there's no doubt. But I think as a captain, you're probably judged on not by titles. Everyone, like you said, wants to win titles, but what you get out of your group and raising other players to a certain level. So, I think Virat does that on the field. He's certainly a guy that once you get across that white line, you want to be behind him, and he's a leader of men on that particular aspect. So, it's not that easy to win titles. It's not simple at all. So, the captain 16 games and get them all successful is pretty tough. So. I'll enjoy what he said there, actually.
Yeah, his own personal form has never been in doubt. In fact, he's been a prolific IPL run getter. And if you just compare the teams that he's had, it's not like they've got a huge amount of options for captain.
Yeah, but it's one
Which
of
is
those
nothing to say
teams-
that he shouldn't be captain. He seems
No,
to be,
I don't think there's any other sort of guy who could take over from him unless he's tired or just fatigued leading a team and just wants to worry about his batting. Seems to enjoy the role as well. Clearly from that long answer does care what somebody else says. I don't know why he should. Look, I mean, it's like Haji said, it's tough to win titles.
Yes.
The first thing you should expect to make is the playoffs, and then try and have 2 good days really, and which they have been doing. It's about crossing that final hurdle, which so far they haven't managed to. But yeah, I can't imagine anyone else taking over from Virat Kohli at this stage for sure.
Okay, now as you see, we're already into our match day match points. We're discussing Virat Kohli, the captain. You could not find a more contrasting captain to Virat Kohli than his predecessor in international cricket. MS Dhoni has just carved a niche of his own, not just in cricketing terms the world over, but certainly in the IPL. He's a different personality, and he's pretty much a deity worshipped in Chennai. And here's more on what he does for CSK in their colours.
When MS Dhoni returned to Chennai last season, not many predicted his dad's army to get even close to the trophy. But CSK not only won the IPL, they also showed that they're the masters of the art of a cold-blooded, improbable finish. As their main man, Dhoni brings along a wealth of experience like nobody else.
Obviously, apart from being the batsman, the wicketkeeper, the whole leadership that he brings to the table, I think that's going to be very, very important. And also, CSK is all about MS Dhoni and his philosophy, the way CSK has been playing for the last 12 odd years.
MS the batsman has owned the positions 4 and 5, where he delivers with high strike rates. Among all batsmen coming in at 4 and below, he has the most runs. Of late, Dhoni has irked many fans by not getting a move on in crunch situations. But his IPL numbers suggest that he's the best death overs batsman with over 2,000 runs at a sky-high strike rate. In fact, with his 138 sixes, he gives MSD a whole new meaning. As a keeper, Dhoni knows of just one speed to operate in run-outs and stumpings, that of a ninja. In fact, he's closely following Dinesh Karthik to be IPL's most successful wicketkeeper. But the most value that MS brings is his captain. As he showed in recent tours, his match tips and instructions to teammates are priceless. Little wonder then that he has led his teams to 12 T20 finals, including 7 IPL finals. This summer, the daddy of all trophies follows the IPL, but for now, all eyes will be on Daddy's army to see if they defend their trophy and their reputation.
Hope you enjoyed that visual representation of Daddy's army. It pretty much accurately reflects some of those bodies. I'm not sure if Harbhajan Singh would agree with the current manifestation, but there we go. Let's move on. The toss has been done. CSK will chase, and they have confirmed playing 11s now. So let's have a look, because this would make for a thrilling talking point. Let's start with CSK. MS Dhoni telling Sanjay Manjrekar at the toss that he's actually gone with just 3 foreign players. Lungi Ngidi, we know, has been ruled out of this year's IPL. So he's gone, of course, with Shane Watson, who's had a prolific PSL player of the tournament there and the highest run getter. Ambati Rayudu, Suresh Raina, Kedar Jadhav, who got injured after the first game last year in the IPL, MS Dhoni, Jadeja, Dwayne Bravo, who only plays franchise T20 cricket now. Harbhajan Singh gets a game, Deepak Chahar gets a game, Shardul Thakur gets a game, and Imran Tahir as well. So the only overseas option that you would have realistically gone for was perhaps Faf du Plessis with the bat or Mitchell Santner with the ball. They've chosen not to use David Willey. I don't think he's with the squad just yet, from what we know. So no David Willey in this team. Haji, thoughts on that team?
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? When you look on paper and you see those names listed down there, it looks a pretty formidable side. And there's plenty of options. And looks surprising they've only gone for 3 overseas players. But given the fact that, Satner's a much likener of Jadoo, and, MSD's always been a backup for his Indian seam bowlers and his spinners. So, yeah, it still looks a pretty good team on paper.
You like the look of that team? They could have chosen to go on with the extra batting of Faf du Plessis. You like the look of the Indian bowling lineup? Because there's a lot of reliance on Indian bowlers in that team. Shardul, Chahar, Harbhajan.
Yeah, I think that's what Kedar Jadhav and Suresh Raina do a job for him as well. I think in those conditions, again, you don't quite know if it's a bit wet, whether they'll be as effective. But he's left those options because of that Indian bowling. Not surprised, because I don't think there was overseas guys who could really take somebody's spot in that. Yeah, I mean, Faf du Plessis was the only guy to strengthen the batting. Yeah. We'll wait and find out if that's the right call. At this, I mean, whatever MS has done last season has worked. I think, if I'm not wrong, they did that a couple of times. Just played with 3 overseas till Ngidi sort of made the impact that he did. So yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Harbhajan Singh still looking strong at what? 45 years young.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of going with 3 overseas guys. If you have a good experienced option on the bench, there's a lot more responsibility again on Rayudu and Raina to have big seasons.
Yes, takes us to our first poll question for the day. And remember these if you watched our content on Facebook. Should Chennai have picked Francois du Plessis? Yes or no? Those are the 2 reactions you have to go with. The hard reaction, if you think yes. The angry reaction, if you think no. We'll see what the IPL faithful and the CSK faithful have to make of it. Played a terrific knock in the playoffs last year, Faf. Could have been tempted to perhaps put both of those up top, solidify the batting, but you're okay with that team?
I mean, the team looks good. And look, he's been in great touch, actually, Faf du Plessis, and he's been scoring well, and he's changed his game. He's adapted a little bit to the play of spin as well in the IPL. So he's got better and better as time's gone on. But looking at that lineup, I think there's a lot of faith in the Indian batter. It looks like that the wicket should spin, or it should take a little bit of spin, and you back your Indian batters before an overseas player.
Very well. Let's go to the RCB playing 11, and Virat Kohli confirming that he will open with Parthiv Patel, which confirms who's taking the gloves too. And Moeen Ali or AB de Villiers will bat 3 depending on the situation. There's a debut in the IPL for Shimron Hetmeyer, who impressed when he was here with the West Indies in a limited overs tour in India. Colin de Grandin fills up the overseas 4th player spot, which means there's no room for Tim Southee. We must point out that both Marcus Stoinis and Nathan Coulter-Nile are not with the RCB team yet. They are on international duty. Shivam Dube will also be handed an IPL debut. Navdeep Saini, Mohammad Siraj and Umesh Yadav is a 3-man Indian pace attack alongside Yuzvendra Chahal. Ajit, quick thoughts. That's a pretty good-looking Indian pace trio.
All experienced, all sort of good domestic performers. It's the big stage though. I mean, Siraj and Umesh played quite a bit of the last season, so we'll see how Saini goes.
You like that team? Like for like? What are they?
Yeah, I think they just lack the 5th bowler might be a bit of an issue. And I'm just worried about those players at the death, bowling to the likes of MSD and Bravo under enormous pressure. So, that's going to be a challenge. The other thing is that they're sort of stacked full of top order players as well again, and I think Hetmeyer needs the bat at the top. AB wants the bat at the top. Virat
top heavy, then you think?
Yeah, I just think that it's really hard for young players to adapt.
Like every year, I guess.
Yeah, but it's just hard for a young player to adapt into a different role, especially in the Indian Premier League, where you got to face good spinners, good challenges. So just want to see how that pans out.
Quite interested to see how Dubey goes from Bombay. He's a promising, big hitting lad. So hopefully he can absorb the pressure.
We went for good money, did Shivam Dube at the auction, and quite contrasting these 2 teams in terms of IPL experience. Lots of IPL debuts in RCB, wealth of experience in the CSK team. Continue putting your answers to the poll that we asked you. Let's move forward and talk about Ambati Rayudu, shall we? He was the man that CSK relied on. He had the season that perhaps just pivoted CSK to the top of the table eventually and to the championship. let's discuss where Rayudu should bat and whether he stays up top with Shane Watson. It looks likely with this team. We thought we might have a case for Faf du Plessis in this team and therefore Ambati Rayudu might drop down. But that's what he's done in season 2018, an average of 44, strike rate of 147. He's probably had a season that, you know, it's hard to even have again. It's the kind of season every player dreams of, Ajit, right, for his team.
Yeah, just knows his game quite well. I think he had a really good season for Mumbai Indians 3 or 4 seasons back. Again, experienced guy. They found a spot for him at the top, you know, where he can maybe take a little bit of time to play himself in. He'll need to have a big season. I mean, those are great numbers, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the strike rate is just phenomenal for someone who you didn't quite expect to have those numbers when the season started last year. So he'll have to do it again. I think Chennai obviously depend on him and Raina at the top a lot, apart from Watson. So he'll have to do that again.
Were you amazed when you saw this, the way he was going last season? We look at many players and you think, oh, we knew he was going to be big, and suddenly someone else just picks up and has a crazy season. Was Rayudu one of those people that surprised you?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Especially when it went to the top. It just freed him up. And the good thing is when you look at that CSK sort of team, you know what's behind you and you can play with a great deal of freedom. So that's what gave him that opportunity. I'm not sure where. I think he should certainly bat at the top, but he might have some personal issues sort of wrestling with that, thinking maybe I should bat at 4 with the World Cup coming up.
I was going to come to that.
Try
Could be
and
a
nut
big
that down.
IPL.
You know, that'll be in his head, I think. But all in all, you just got to go out there and make runs as a batter.
In fact, best opportunity to bat up top if you get some runs there.
Well, there's no place at the top in the Indian team. So, you know.
No, I'm saying bat top IPL.
No. What I'm trying to say, hopefully that doesn't play on his mind.
Sure.
It could cost CSK a few games.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he's quite settled in that CSK lineup. It's going to be hard to repeat the kind of form that he showed last year. I mean, people will now know what his approach is going to be opening the innings. Be interested. He's going to be a key player for them to do well again this year if they have to have a good season.
Some more on Ambati Rayudu, as we have these very special flashcards that we've actually made in the IPL for each player, and I hope you like the look of what we've got for you. It's basically everything you need on him. So hits a boundary literally every over. If you just look at every 6 balls that he faces, strike rate first 10 balls very decent against pace and spin. No real weakness. He absolutely took Rashid Khan apart. One of the few batsmen you can say that about from last season. And it's not like he slows down. There's perhaps a little bit you could say from 130 in the power play, 180 at the death to 125. But Haji, if you have a batsman who's going at 120 in the middle, you know he's had a terrific season. Question is, it's hard sometimes to back up a great season. Very few people, maybe Suresh Raina, Rohit Sharma, Kohli, have been able to do it consistently each year. That changes the way you sometimes approach?
Look, I think under the leadership of Dhoni, he may be able to repeat something similar, maybe something not as exceptional as that. But yeah, it all goes on how your partner at the other end's going as well. If Watson's ticking along nicely and Raina are ticking along quite well, then you can play a certain way. But I mean, 602 runs is a fantastic effort in IPL. You know, we'll have to wait and see. He's certainly a gifted player. He's got the talent, so there's no reason why he can't.
There's an added incentive, like we've established, of India figuring still who will be their number 4 in the first game of the World Cup. If Ambati Rayudu has the sensational season that he had last time, he can replicate even something close to it. He'll make a very strong case for himself. Question we asked you at the start of the show after we found out that Faf du Plessis was not playing was whether Chennai should have included him. 81% say they should have on our Facebook poll. So there you have it. I think all the CSK fans also enjoy experience in their team and they would have rather seen Faf in or out. Keep those poll answers coming as we ask you who's going to win in this game, CSK or RCB. Remember that these are the 2 polls we're going to go with every day. If you're going with Chennai, give us a big laugh, the ha-ha reaction on Facebook. Otherwise, just get a bit surprised if you think Bangalore will cause the upset of the Chepauk, something that they've not done in 11 years in the IPL. Beat CSK at Chennai. So that's something that you can take into your calculations. It's been 11 years since it's happened. They will rely on AB de Villiers getting runs if they are to replicate performance that they had back on the 21st of May 2008. Let's have a look at AB against the Chennai bowlers. He actually tends to do pretty well against a lot of them. Let's just have a look at strike rates and you take that. Mohit Sharma gets smacked around a bit. Dwayne Bravo too. Ravindra Jadeja hasn't dismissed him in all the time that he's played. So you've got something in AB against CSK, but this is a different conversation around AB Haji. He's not playing international cricket anymore. He missed a lot of the PSL through injury. Is he still quite the force that he was? According to
Yeah, I
you?
think he is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can ever doubt ABD. For me personally, he's probably in the top 3 cricket players I've ever witnessed in all 3 forms of the game. So I don't think it'll stop now. I think he just loves playing the IPL, and he'll be geared up for this nicely.
Maybe to some degree, the fact that he's not playing for South Africa just gives him the license to keep smashing it around in 2020 cricket.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been a year since
Yeah.
he's not played for international cricket, so he's just one of those guys, just a freak. You see him bat every time and seems to turn game. He'd be wanting to win an IPL as well. He's been with RCB for a while now, and you don't quite know what to expect when you've not seen the player through the course of the year, and he's been out through injury, but. I'd be very surprised if De Villiers doesn't have a good season again.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he starts the tournament.
Yeah.
He'll definitely work into it anyway, but he might just take the year of caution in the first game.
Let's have a look at AB's flashcard. It'll give you an idea of his IPL 2018 record. And again, like Haji rightly points out, how he starts would go a long way into how well RCB tend to do. But this is what we've got. Strike rate against pace spin, not bad, 173, 151. You should be okay with that if you're a batsman. Just above par, you'd think. 244 at the death, he just shows off sometimes, does AB de Villiers. But I like what Ajit said, just wanting to win a title. There's a thing about South Africans and silverware that the rest of the world enjoys and taking pleasure from their misery. But he'd want some silverware to go with this prolific reputation that he has.
Maybe that's why he stepped away and parked the World Cup.
There
because
we are.
He knows they might get to the semi-finals and fall short. But yeah, I mean, what a player. I don't know what to say about him that isn't positive. It's just you love watching him.
Desire for silverware. I mean, sometimes Indians and Australians, Indians of late and Australians are so used to it. Somewhere would it mean something to someone like AB too?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, especially any foreigner that comes to the IPL, you want to be successful personally and for your team as well.
For Indians as well.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
there's
a
no
big
doubt.
tournament to have on your CV if you win that.
Sure, I mean, we've seen Gautam Gambhir's comments leading into this about he thinks silverware matters a lot, and Gautam, of course, knows what it tastes like, having won the IPL twice with KKR. Just have a look at AB's recent form for all you want to see what he's been up to. Like Ajit says, it's been less than a year since he's played international cricket, but in T20s, 23 innings, 750 runs almost, an average of 44, strike rate of 152. He's doing just fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to worry about.
And you want AB de Villiers to have a good season. I mean, those are the guys that sort of light up this tournament, and you hope that he's in similar form to what we've seen over the years.
Okay, we move on to what is an interesting talking point if you look at both these two teams. Prolific batsmen, Watson, Rayudu, great form, MS Dhoni, another MS Dhoni we saw last year in the IPL with bat, AB de Villiers, Kohli, Hetmeyer, all exciting batsmen. What about their bowling? And death bowling seems to be a problem for both these teams. We just have a look at the poorest run rate in the death overs last season. Bangalore are 1 and Chennai are 2. You don't want to be at the top of this table. Ideally, no surprises that Sunrisers Hyderabad are the best in the death. They defended so well last year. We're going at nearly 12 and over Bangalore and 11 over Chennai. Have they addressed the issues with the bowling? Let's start with Bangalore perhaps. They had Corey Anderson bowl to CSK 4 overs in the death last year. They were looking for someone to bowl. In Umesh, Saini, Siraj, do they have answers to that?
Not sure. I mean, you've got to remember they play in Bengaluru as well, which is a tough ground to defend runs on. And Chennai played in Pune a lot of their cricket last year. So, that's, again, this is a much bigger ground. Again, it depends on the conditions, but yeah, it's going to be difficult for both teams. Both teams don't have that mystery that maybe Sunrisers have in Rashid Khan, or even Kings 11 have in, say, a Mujib or Bumrah for Mumbai Indians. That sort of X factor, you don't see. Ngiri provided that for CSK when he played for them. Maybe a little bit of sameness to the attack. Chahal can do that in the middle overs, but whether he can do that the death, not quite sure. So maybe that's what these teams are like. It's not easy to find, obviously.
Yes.
But that's perhaps a difference.
I've always been curious to know how much that question comes up on an auction table. Who is our death bowler? Is it big in a franchise? You have to look for someone at the death. Because you look at RCB's team, you look at CSK's team, it's not that one obvious guy you know is going to bowl you 2 or 3 overs at the death. You know that, like you said, Ajit said, for Bumrah or for a Dwayne Bravo, you could probably count for CSK. But in these two lineups, are you looking at obvious death bowling specialists?
Well,
hoping to find them.
Yeah, I mean, Bravo's the one that comes to mind. He's done it many a times, and MSD will bank on him doing it. But there's no other standouts, really. Look, it all depends. CSK's death overs rely on what happens prior to that and how their spinners go in the middle and how many wickets you can get and who you actually bowl into at the death. I'm with Ajit there. It's really hard in Bengaluru to bowl death.
Yeah.
But you certainly at an auction table try and earmark a couple. There's no doubt you find them, and that's why Bumrah is just a special talent.
Yeah, I mean, Bravo struggled last year.
Yeah, he's going to come there. He's not quite the same Bravo of the first few IPLs.
Then you suddenly start worrying. Shardul Thakur's there, he does a bit, then whether he's the guy you will rely on through the course of the season.
There's last season's numbers for you. Bravo going at nearly 11.7. That's a different Bravo that we used to see earlier. They tried Watson very little, but Shardul Thakur tried the job, 11.6. That's not quite giving you a lot of optimism.
No, and I don't think you can rely on any one guy. And it's anyway going to be difficult to rely on one guy, but at least Mumbai Indians know no matter what, Bumrah is going to do the job for you. I don't think CSK quite have that. But that's why the advantage they have is MS Dhoni, who has a nice feel for things on that particular day. He uses his bowlers quite well. Generally has a good read about the game, and that's why he's so successful. So he'll have to again do that this year because they don't have a standout guy to help them out at the death.
Can this also start dictating what you do at the toss and MS wanting to chase all the time if he's not quite sure of his bowlers?
Yeah, possibly. There's no doubt about that. Most teams like to chase anyway in the first game because they're just not sure about what the result may look like. So, but I think that'll definitely be a concern for MSD. Something I think, Ngedi's not even a death bowler, so maybe an area where they could have topped up a bit in the auction table.
Yeah, I mean, he's 100% right. It all depends on what happens through those first 12, 13, 14 overs when Chennai bowl.
And you know for a fact that MS loves using his spinners, and he's got plenty of options. He's going to have not just frontline spinners in Jadeja and Harbhajan Singh, but also the likes of Kedar Jadhav and Suresh Raina to complement Imran Tahir as a specialist overseas leggy. Right. How many of those players might feature in the Fab 4 selections for Ajit and Haji? If you've watched ESPN Cricinfo Matchday through the course of the India-Australia series, you know we play this little game where each of our experts pick 4 players, and depending on how they do in a fantasy system, they're going to get points. Let's just remind you of the kind of rules that we have for that. Each run gets you a point, 30 runs gets you bonus points, so 250s and 100s. And as far as wickets go, 20 points for a wicket, 3 and 5 wicket hauls get you bonuses, and best economy of the day gets you 20 additional bonuses. Some fielding points too, catches, direct hits, runouts, etc. get you some points, and the expert with the most points at the end of the day is the winner. Haji did all right with this actually, sitting up in the wee hours of the night, so you actually made some good selections back home. Can you replicate this?
I'm not sure.
No, I hammered him.
Yeah,
you hammered him.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, I thought you beat. Then you beat me.
No, I got smoked.
Yeah.
Oh, you are absolutely.
But at least he didn't pick Finch,
So-
which Sean Tate did.
Yeah. Then
Actually, you encouraged me to pick Finch every time.
and
you
he
scored a
never
run.
did. Yeah, he never did. So maybe that's your excuse because you were up late back home.
Maybe.
Now here you are, so I'll let you go second. I'll let Ajit go
Oh,
first.
really?
Yeah.
I don't remember the 11.
Let's look at the 11s. We're going to do that.
The
Let's
captains
look at the
did,
11s. Let's look at the 11s, and we look at both 11s. That's Chennai. Do you have any picks from this? Or are you going to go with 4
I'm gonna
Bangalore
go
boys?
Suresh Raina.
All right.
And I'm going to go Imran Tahir.
All right, Tahir and Raina. And what about RCB? You want to pick 2 from RCB?
I'm going to go Virat
Let's
Kohli.
toss them up. Virat Kohli batting first on this pitch. Opening
And
confirmed.
Hetmeyer.
Hetmeyer. Ooh, that's a nice, interesting pick on his IPL debut. Let's go to Haji. Haji.
I'll stick with the Aussies. I'll go with Watson,
Okay.
Rayudu,
All right, that's nice.
and
2 from
Bravo.
Bangalore, 3 from CSK.
yes,
Lovely. And 1 from
I
Bangalore.
think Kohli will have a good game as
All
well.
right, so you overlap with Kohli and you've picked 3 Chennai boys.
You know who he's supporting tonight.
Yeah, well, looks like. Predictions, gentlemen. What's the gut feel at this point?
Well, I just got swayed by a yellow shirt, so I'm trying to pick you up after last year, so I'm going to go Chennai.
Of course, they're going to win this one. They may not win anything else. But yeah, Ajit.
I don't know. I mean, logic says Chennai. Everything. I don't know whether they've picked the right batting. I still got to pick Chennai.
Give me a number.
Give
Give me a number that RCB you think are going to get, or how much they actually need to test Chennai's batting. Haji?
I'm not
200?
sure. I'm not sure they'll get past 170 tonight.
All right, Ajit.
To test Chennai, they should get somewhere between 180 190.
All right, let's see how close they get to that number. Poll result, Chennai or RCB? Who have you gone for? 65%, absolutely no surprises there. Virat Kohli's already made his way out. Deepak Chair has the new ball in hand. We are all set for the start of IPL 2019. Many thanks to Ajit Agarkar and Brad Hodge, whose company we will have in an hour and a half from now, or maybe longer, given how long the innings tend to go on in the IPL. So we'll see you for our halftime show on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday T20, where we'll take your questions and comments and see how the first 20 overs of the IPL 2019 have gone.